for this next topic here, I've decided to do something that's a little personal. It's still gaming related, but it's a little more personal than normal than it is newsy. So, audience, why don't I ask this just for funsies? Have you ever watched any Cinemassacre? I know I have. I quite enjoy a lot of the work that channel does. In recent years, I haven't quite as much, but I know like a good bit of the older work I've quite enjoyed. And I bring up that channel because of a particular series that the main man, the famous James Rolfe, has done. And for this particular show, I can't name it because, maybe one day I want the show to be giving me a slight amount of money, and I can't exactly give any swearing, but, the show is acronymed as YKWBS, which stands for that famous phrase, because I must ask, what's BS? Scalpers. Ugh. Scalpers. So, a scalper is an individual who purchases a desired product in excess to flip it for profit. Just so you know, if you've never heard the term, but you're going to learn quite a bit about scalpers here, at least in my experience with them, because I don't like scalpers, and scalpers make me very angry, and I don't like what they do. But most of the time, when people scalp, they think of it for things like concert and sports tickets. So, if you've ever gone to like a baseball game, if you'll see people outside who are just like standing around selling tickets at a higher price to people than what they would have paid. Had they just bought the tickets earlier, or if they had arrived to the stadium for whatever event is happening earlier, in hopes to get a profit from having bought those tickets and stopping people who wanted to go see the game or concert or whatever it is in the first place. But the thing is, scalpers have also moved their way into other areas, including an area that I am quite affected by going into merchandise for movies, TV, music, and video games. So let me tell my personal story here about scalpers. If you'll remember from the very first episode of this podcast, I discussed some new screenshots about Animal Crossing New Horizons. And between that episode releasing and at least my time writing this, a special edition Animal Crossing New Horizons Nintendo Switch was announced. Great, that sounds awesome. It's got a white dock with an image of an island with Tom Nook and the Nooklings on it, and the actual Switch tablet console itself has special engravings on the back that I think are pretty neat to look like the game. And then the Joy-Con that come with it are like a pastel green and a pastel blue on one side, and then they're white on the other side. It's pretty cool looking, honestly. It's really cute. But here's the problem. Scalpers went to buying up these consoles as soon as pre-orders went up. So quite literally, pre-orders would go up for like a couple minutes on a website, and then they were gone. Now, fortunately, I am one of the lucky ones, I will admit. I remember being on the bus one Thursday, really trying super hard to get the console for myself and my girlfriend. I just got lucky by refreshing the Walmart website over and over and over, and just barely getting a pre-order in. But if you're unable to do that, scalpers such as those on eBay would like you to pay $400 to $500 for a guaranteed pre-order for a $300 product. Now I get it. They're trying to make a profit here. They bought a thing. You're like, I don't really want it. So you know what? I'm going to get rid of it by selling it. And you know what? I want to make some money off of it. Which, sounds perfectly normal in other scenarios, but there are two things here. One, the product is not out yet. In fact, now let's see, I said it's February 25th. The console releases on March 13th, 2020, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 17 days away from the date that I'm recording this. So you're trying to sell something for profit that isn't even out yet. I know what other people are going to say, Brandon, that's capitalism. That's just how it works. You get something, you sell it to make more money. No, this is not real capitalism. This is a bastardization of capitalism. Because there are hundreds, thousands, maybe even millions of people who would actually like to have the console and play it. But Brandon, it's a limited edition system. It's obviously going to come out in limited quantities. Yeah, I get that. Trust me, I understand, right? I know there's going to be a set quantity of these, but there is also a set quantity of people who want it. And those people who want the console, who don't have time to just sit around at a website for however many hours to continuously refresh it, should not have to pay an inflated price for something that other people, some of which do things like use buying bots, systematically look for these products and buy them in mass to take them away from people who actually want them. And the really frustrating thing for me is that this has not only happened with this particular Nintendo Switch console, but it's also happened with stuff like the 20th anniversary PS4, right? That was a PS4 that was a bright gray to make it look like the original PS1. And it happened with a whole bunch of limited edition 3DS systems, like the one that sticks out in my mind is the Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D new 3DS XL. I'll talk about the different 3DS models another time, but suffice to say, the new 3DS does not mean a new 3DS like it's new in the box. It's new because that's the name of it. It's confusing. But, oh my gosh, that's not even to mention how it happened with a whole ton of waves with Amiibo after they were announced. People talk about the first wave of Smash Brothers Amiibo. It had ones that you'd find pretty easily: Mario, Link, Kirby, Pikachu, ones that everyone wants, right? But there were 3 Amiibo in that wave that were super hard to get. Wii Fit Trainer, Marth, and Villager, which, funnily enough, just means the Animal Crossing human that you play as. Like, you couldn't find those guys anywhere. You know why you couldn't find those guys anywhere other than the people who did want them buying them? It's because scalpers bought them and made them super duper expensive, trying to get you to pay more money to get a whole collection. And it's gotten really, really bad with this particular console because some people have realized that there are more units in other parts of the world, like Canada, the UK, and Germany, and there are people who are trying to buy units from there and have them sent to the US because scalpers keep buying American units. Now, granted, it's not like Nintendo of America should have underestimated how popular the system would be, or they should have prepared in some other way for this, right? But at the same time, people should also not behave this way. Maybe the sellers like Walmart and Target and Amazon, GameStop. There's only really one other. Best Buy. Those are like the top 5, like those are the 5 places you always see on Nintendo's own website if you're looking to buy products. Maybe they need rules of like only 1 unit per debit card or 1 unit per credit card. Or maybe units should only be sold in stores so that retailers can force the 1 unit per customer rule or something like that. But I'm sure that there's certainly ways that people are finding to get around it. And it's frustrating because I got lucky. There's a whole lot of people who were interested in it that did not get lucky. That are either going to pay the $400 or they're going to wait and they're going to say, screw it, I don't want it anymore. And it's partially Nintendo's fault. It's partially retailers' fault. It's partially partially scalpers' fault. And I mean, geez, I'm to the point where it's like, this probably sounds silly. I don't really know how it would be enforced, but it's like, it almost feels like there needs to be some regulation for this, because if people aren't just gonna be moral and be like, oh, well, the only people who really should buy it are the people who want this limited product and pay the intended price, maybe someone's got to step in and be like, no, that's not okay. We're going to make this right. We're going to make it so that at least with limited products like this, there's some sort of limitation to make sure that the people who actually want the product get the product. So ultimately, here's the message of this segment. Scalpers are the scum of media, whether it's tickets to concerts, tickets to sports games, buying up limited video game consoles, merchandise, just any sort of limited product like that. And they need to find a new way to make honest money, because you and I, who want to buy products fair and square, should always have that opportunity. It is that simple. There's no discernible reason why anybody should be forced to pay an inflated price on a product because they just don't have the time to get it right away. And actually, I kind of want to go back to that point about the fact that people are finding some in Canada and the UK and Germany, because I just kind of glossed over it, and I think there's an important point to bring up in there, which is we also should not be penalizing people across the world from getting these consoles as well, because there are people in the United States who are just being jerks and aren't letting people get the products they want to get, because like they're perfectly fine, happy Canadian people who also want the Animal Crossing Nintendo Switch console and who should be able to spend their money on it and not have, someone who's American buy it out from under their nose and have it sent here. And I mean, that's not even getting into, Canada. It's easy because in Canada they use, the same electrical standard that the United States uses. If you're trying to buy this from the UK or you're trying to buy this from Germany, not only is everything in German if you're trying to set it up, although you can set it to English, so that's fine, but the electrical standard in Europe is not the same as the US, and not to mention, we don't use the same electrical ports, so regardless, you have to buy at least an adapter to take the cord from a European cord to an American cord. That's the least you have to do. Or if you really want that extra peace of mind, you have to buy a whole adapter converter setup to make just to have that extra peace of mind that, okay, this is going to work. I'm not going to fry the console. Everything's going to be good. And there's no one who should have to do that either, because they should be able to buy their product in their home country for a normal price under all scenarios. I mean, again, I get it. It's limited to people who... It's going to be bought by the people who want it, but the people who want it don't always have the time to get it right away. And they don't have the extra money, necessarily, to spend on top of whatever they saved for a limited edition console itself. So, God, I don't want to just keep ranting here, because really, if I wanted to, I could probably go on for hours and hours and hours, but it would all just come back to the simple point that scalpers are terrible. One might call them BS, and you know what the word is, considering that's how I opened up this segment. And something needs to happen so that we, as consumers, are not stuck trying to deal with them when we just want to buy a product. Anyway, now that I'm sufficiently I'm riled, but not really riled, why don't we move on to the third segment of this podcast.